bring a new voice into our security situation. That's Professor Kobi Mikhail. He is the former Deputy Director General of Israel's Ministry of Strategic Affairs. Thank you for joining us. We've been speaking all day about the local groups, Israel's response, the Hamas response, the terrorists in Jenin's response. But what we haven't brought in is how many outside figures are really helping promote these terror groups. And one of the questions we have to ask is how much of Iran's fingerprints can be seen on the terror activities in Jenin?
Good morning. There is no doubt that there is an outsider support for these terrorist groups in Jenin area or in the northern districts of the West Bank. But they are not controlling, I would say, directly these groups, and they don't give them the orders when to launch a terror attack or something like that. This is something that is held, organized internally by these groups, by these militants, terrorists, and the idea is that today, or at least in the last year, it is not only the story of the organized organization or the official organizations like the Palestinian Islamic Jihad or Hamas or Al-Aqsa Battalion of the Fatah. We are witnessing a sort of local organization, local groups that are participating in this, I would say, armed resistance against Israel, against the Palestinian Authority, against the current or the existing order. And everything is inspired, of course, and supported by Hamas, by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and of course, Iran and Hezbollah behind the scenes.
So how does Israel really begin to counter this sort of ground-up movement? We saw some of these bomb shops, the photos. It looked homemade for many of these cases, not the work of professionals or well-funded movements even. If that's the case, how do you get intel on something that maybe even just one person is doing in their basement?
With all the respect and the high level of very accurate intelligence that we have, we cannot have intelligence of 100% of the events or the operators or the terrorists on the ground. And this is something that everybody understands. But I think that generally speaking, we have a very good intelligence. And I think that the problem is not necessarily the intelligence. The problem is that in many cases you have a problem to translate the intelligence that you have or to convert it to operation, because we are talking about a very density places like the refugee camp in Jenin. And in many cases, you have to make the calculations in order to avoid from collateral damage, and you have to take into consideration the international arena and many other considerations. And therefore, in some occasions, you are pretty limited with regard to your capabilities to prevent a terror attack on spot. So you have to arrange some other alternatives on the envelope, okay, of the refugee camp or something like that. And this is the reason that at the end of the day, we have reached to such of a larger military operation like the last one.
That's actually a very good springboard point, because one of the discussions that we've been having over the course of the day is that this is not the end or even a very significant blow against terror groups in Jenin. The question is, what is the next move, and ultimately, what might trigger it?
The next move should be connected to a political envelope. I mean, if the government will not decide about the political goal that it wants to achieve, then we will find ourselves in sort of an attrition war against the terror. The terror always exists, and the terror will continue even if we are going to have a political agreement with the Palestinian Authority. This is something that we have to understand as a fact in life, okay? But I would say that the challenge is to make all the efforts in order to decrease to the minimum, to the possible minimum level, the terrorism. And now, if we don't have a sort of a political goal that we want to achieve, we remain in the military cycle only, and we will find ourselves coming again and again to such operations in Jenin, because now we left Jenin after cleaning it, okay? But once we left the area, a vacuum was created. The Palestinian Authority is not able to return and to control effectively the space, the area, and then the terror groups will come and will reorganize again, and we will find ourselves in the same scenario in 1 month, in 2 months, and we will be forced to go in once again. So the only option to minimize it, to decrease it, or to optimize it is to have a political goal, and the political goal should be decided by the government. And I, at least till now, I don't see any political decision that was made by the current government, beside the idea that they want to have calm, but this is not a political goal.
Well, thank you very much, Kobi, for helping us understand what's going on there. Thank you for joining us.